Hi, I'm here today to talk about reading. I know a lot of people who want to have reading habits, who want to read, but then they find it difficult. And so I thought I'll tell you about my reading habits. I do post pictures of the books that I read, and I don't want you to believe that I read every day or that I'm a voracious reader. I think this year I have read more books than before, and that is maybe five or six books. That's all I'm referring to. While there are bookstagrammers who read 50 to 100 books a year, I am not in that category. Also, for the longest time, I have enjoyed fantasy, because of which I find it very difficult to read non fiction and fiction that's slow. There was a point of time when I used to force myself to finish books, but then I don't do that anymore. So I wanted to show you the books that I started reading this year. So this is Toto Chan, Dune, Atomic Habits. I started this last year, and On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous. And all these are very famous books. Problem is that I haven't finished any of these books, and there are many reasons for it. But I have stopped blaming myself or beating myself up for not finishing books. So Atomic Habits, I found it interesting and useful, and this helped me when I was learning swimming. And so I want to restart and then use it for my personal growth, which is why I've kept it there. This was a book that was recommended by a lot of people, but it did not resonate with me. I read just two or three pages and realized that I couldn't move further with it. So I took this from the Princeton Public Library, and I will be returning it. I'm not going to finish the book. And Dune is my sister's copy. So I started reading it while I was at her place, and then she told me to take it. So since I have it, I thought I'll read books that I could borrow from library, and then this I could read at any point of time, which is why I've put it aside. But I will get back to this. This has been interesting for me. Toto Chan is something that I got to know when I was in school. I think it was part of our CBSE curriculum at some point. So that's how I started reading it, and it did not keep me that engrossed. It's a good book, but it did not keep me very engrossed, because of which at some point I read almost until half. Yeah, this is a bookmark that I've left. But then I've not been able to move further, and I will get back to this book. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it's okay if you start reading a book and then you realize that it's not working for you. Maybe it's not the right time, so you can put it aside and start something else. And this year this is not the only books that I left halfway through. I also started Eat, Pray, Love, and I left halfway through, and I have reasons for all of it. But the point is that doesn't define you, whether you are able to finish a book, whether you are able to understand or assimilate what the book says. That doesn't define you. There will be books that will interest you. I know that there are books that I love. I love the Winter Night trilogy, and I would read it again. So that's because I grew up reading a lot of fantasy books, and I'm kind of addicted to it. So know what is the kind of book that entertains you, know why you're reading, and don't force yourself. This is supposed to be enjoyable and interesting and informative, and sometimes, no, almost always an escape. Happy reading.